Well, hello there, motherfuckers. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the Nintendo Switch and my recent purchase of it. It seems to me like Nintendo is on a course for a real comeback story here. Something we really haven't seen out of Nintendo, well, since the Wii. Now, the Wii was a very different mix. Some people liked it, others didn't. It was the best-selling console, without a doubt. I mean, when it came to the 360 and the PS3, people seem to rewrite history. There's a bit of revisionist history there saying that, you know, the Wii was a bad console, full of shovelware. But if you look at the numbers, the Wii was one of the best-selling consoles of all time. So you take a look at what's going on with the Switch right now when we hear that the Switch has outsold the Wii. So now, you know, a console generation winner now has been surpassed. And now we're looking at consoles coming out that were underpowered, criminally underpowered, in the Xbox One and the PS4. And there's been an ever-growing concern, you know, are consoles on the way to, you know, to their demise, basically? Has PC basically gone so far ahead of the consoles that there's just no way that the consoles could catch up? You know, because basically at the end of the day, like everyone says, with services like Steam and everything, you know, what's the point of a console? They'll never be as powerful as a PC. There's no way, you know, that you could change the graphics card unless, like, you know, you could figure something out. But, you know, it's different when it comes to PC. And, you know, I'm not a PC expert. I don't know the first thing about changing a graphics card or a sound card or anything like that. I would need to get help if I ever decided to upgrade anything, you know, on the computer. So, you know, there's a big thing about graphics. There has, you know, for a while. It's always been, you know, ever since even the Super Nintendo days. What's got the better graphics? 16 bits, you know, was an improvement from 8-bit. Then we went from 32-bit, 64 bits, 128 bits. And, you know, sooner or later they stopped counting the bits and, you know, just basically said who had the most realistic, the best cutting-edge graphics. So, you know, just recently we had a release of a more powerful Xbox and the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 with the PlayStation 4 Pro. And, you know, with all these different iterations, it's a little bit ridiculous in a way. You know, they released these systems. There wasn't a very big difference, you know, from the 360 to the Xbox One. It was quite evident. Certain games, but, you know, you could clearly see that there wasn't a big overhaul in graphics. So then the Switch comes along right here. And, you know, you gotta make sure you get the thumbnail in there, of course. But, you know, for everybody who wants to see what the box looks like, I'm pretty sure you've probably already seen it. But, you know, when it comes to the Switch, this console right here is doing things a bit differently. And this is why it's already a clear-cut winner. I mean, obviously, I think it hasn't surpassed the sales of the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I haven't been hearing, but it definitely has surpassed the sales of the Wii. So, you know, we're already being told that this is one of the most popular Nintendo consoles of all time. And what is one of the big reasons why this console is going to end up winning? And I'll tell you why. Not only is it a home console, but it's a portable console right here, as you could clearly see. You see that? This right here, yep, got Let's Go Pikachu loaded up in there. Now, I'm not going to be taking this outside my house. I'm always fucking paranoid that I'm going to drop it or something like that. I've never been one for, you know, for handhelds, like taking them out of the house. You know, I remember picking up the Game Boy Advance. I'd take it with me every now and again, But, you know, mostly I would, you know, sit there at the table pretty much and just play it when I felt like it. Until the release of the Game Boy player for the GameCube. So, you know, what the Switch has done here is they have found a way to converge both markets. Now, Nintendo got their ass handed to them with the Wii U. They started off the generation really horribly with the Wii U, and this was kind of like their second chance. The Wii U was a very odd system. You know, they kind of wanted the tablet, which is very much featured here. Obviously, this is one of the main selling points of the system, is the tablet. And, you know, they wanted to have, you know, they wanted to take advantage of the popularity of, you know, tablets. They wanted to, you know, have the home console. And you saw they were going for something, but they didn't realize, like, what they wanted to do. They ditched the motion controls for the most part, but they were still there to a certain extent. And, you know, the system ended up failing. There was no third-party support for it. Things just fell through. They had a number of first-party titles that seemed good, but they seemed like they were really lacking direction. They didn't really have a lot of software for the console, and it was very reminiscent of the N64, but I think the N64 ended up having a better library of games at basically almost every single period that it existed. That's just my opinion. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who will try to fight me on that. So when it comes to the Switch, the reason why I think they're gaining a lot of support and a lot of developers, you know, might have been a bit sketchy about it, but one thing that I have to say, which is crazy, and I'll get to that in a minute, actually. Let me just finish saying this, actually, is that this is the new portable. This is the new Game Boy. You know, the DS is basically almost dead. The 3DS is almost gone. And the 3DS was a great little handheld system while it lasted. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing, you know, all the Pokemon games for it. It had a lot to offer. The Virtual Console, it was revolutionary. But now that Nintendo has figured out how to get a home console and a handheld system together, they have pretty much just destroyed any chance of a handheld market. So, you know, PlayStation tried their best. Sony tried their best at trying to defeat Nintendo when it came to their kingdom, which was the handhelds that they had an iron grip on. And they couldn't get it done. The PSP and the Vita were colossal failures. You could try to say that, you know, you could turn them into Raspberry Pis. You could try to make any argument that you want, but they were complete failures. They didn't come close to touching the DS or the 3DS. It wasn't even close. So now Nintendo, after having a pretty epic defeat with the Wii U, they decided, you know, how can we take one of our best selling things in our handheld and, you know, transfer that into a console where you could play it at home and then go ahead and take it with you when you want. And then there you go. It was the Switch. The Switch is what did it. They found out that they, you know, that they gotta combine what they were doing that was better than everybody else and reclaiming the home market, because you see, this system is pretty underpowered. Obviously, what they were going for, you know, they probably couldn't make it super powerful if they wanted to do the handheld portion of this system. But that's not what it's about. That's never what it's been about. And, you know, with Nintendo, I mean, they've always been the most underpowered system out of them all. The only one where they weren't the most underpowered was during the GameCube, PS2. They were a little bit more powerful than the PS2, I believe. Most of the time that they were. I think only the Xbox edged them out. I could be wrong about that, but it was my understanding that it was always, you know, Xbox, GameCube, and then PS2. And it seemed like that to me. I actually owned all of them at one point. I sold my PS2 to get an Xbox. And from what I had gathered, what I had observed was that one was more powerful. So, but most of the time they were usually more gameplay focused. They said it was about the games, quality over quantity. That wasn't always true. As far as the N64 goes, you know, there was a lot of quality, and there wasn't a lot of quantity. By the end of its life, it had roughly like only 300 games for it. And, you know, we're talking about a lifespan that lasted a good 5 years or so. So, and the PlayStation had a lot of quality games, but definitely more quantity, I think, because they got up almost to, like, think, like 800 games. They have probably even more games than the NES did, which is stunning when you really sit back and you think about it. Probably even a bigger library, maybe than even the PS2. I mean, it's one of the biggest library of games ever, so that excuse couldn't really hold water anymore. The thing is, what's really funny is that one of the biggest limitations for the N64 was the cartridge-based form. And I remember a lot of people were asking, you know, Nintendo should bring back the cartridges. I was like, are you mad? Why would they go back to cartridges and limit themselves? And then something funny happened. With the Switch, they brought back cartridges. Well, they're called game cards now, but they are cartridges. And I just found that to be really, like, it's like funny that they actually went back to what made them famous. You know, those classic NES and SNES cartridges. And they have found a way to really load a lot of shit onto these game cards. And now, obviously, it's graphically inferior to, say, an Xbox One X. I mean, it's about 5 times more powerful, and so is the PlayStation 4 Pro. But it doesn't seem like it really matters because, I mean, this really is just like an awesomely designed system. You know, I thought the Wii U had a really interesting design to it too, but I mean, just look at this thing. It's a thing of beauty. It truly is. I mean, and even though I'm probably not going to utilize this portion of it that much, now I'm going to experiment with it, of course, but, you know, it's really a very architecturally very attractive looking system. And, you know, it has found a way where there's just so many different controller options. There's the handheld option. There's a good library of games coming out for it. Like I said, this system was really, like, wearing on me. I was watching people playing Zelda, seeing Super Mario Odyssey, seeing the new Donkey Kong Country game, Tropical Freeze, being ported over from the Wii U. They're porting almost everything from that failed console that was worth playing. And I'm just like, wow. I wish they would port over the Twilight Princess HD remake. That would be excellent to have that on there. But I mean, you've got a huge library of games, and it's like, first of all, what Nintendo has that everybody else doesn't is a first-party lineup that's always worth playing. And that's when you can really take their word for it and say, when it comes to the quality, I mean, when it comes to Nintendo's first party, they rarely disappoint. And right now, like all the titles that I mentioned, that's what I'm looking forward to most. Now, I'm not saying that I won't purchase Super Smash Bros., but I've never been such a huge fan of that series like everyone else has. Probably because I'm not like a huge fighting game fan. I'd rather play those games, you know, as the platform is from which the characters are derived from. But I've never seen such hype for the game or a entry into the Super Smash Brothers. I mean, it's quite evident that a lot of people have, because I don't remember for Smash Brothers Wii U, I don't remember this much hype. This is a lot of fucking hype, and it's gonna be a real killer app for them. You know, Let's Go Pikachu is another killer app. I mean, this game right here is the first foray And I don't care what anybody says, this is an excellent entry into the series. It really is. I'm having the time of my life with this game. It is a remake of Pokemon Yellow for the Game Boy. It is realized in full 3D, bright, colorful. It's an excellent game, and I can't wait to review it for you guys. And I'm going to give you a real great in-depth review of that, which will be coming up very soon. I'm kind of waiting to get a bit more into the game. Probably want to beat it before I give my comments. I want to see if there's any big changes. There's a lot of other surprises that are waiting, so I want to, you know, get that all in the review before I really present it to all of you. But you know, I gotta say, I think that Nintendo's got this console generation clinched. I mean, I think that they're gonna end up being the winners. You know, when you've got the handheld market, and that's, you know, say like you don't even want to play this on TV. You don't have to. You can completely ignore that feature and just play it handheld. And so, since they don't have any plans to have another, like, DS or Game Boy come out, because there's no reason to. When you can just have all those games and have, you know, just a scaled down resolution of that game on the handheld, why do anything else? This is, like, going to be the be-all, end-all. I mean, they'll probably just keep manufacturing consoles like this. You know, probably when the next console generation comes out, or maybe they might come up with a slightly more powerful Switch or Switch 2 or whatever it may be. You know, they've got the market down locked. I mean, I'm really proud of them. I mean, I think that this is going to be a Nintendo comeback that we haven't seen. That's a more consistent comeback. You know, because like I said, with the Wii, it was a bit weird. You know, they had a lot of big sales, and then the sales kind of then dropped off, and there was a lot of shovelware. And I don't remember having any big numbers on a lot of the software. So it was a very weird, confusing time for the Wii. So I think this is going to be probably the biggest time for Nintendo, probably since the Super Nintendo. Maybe even since the NES. I mean, I think they finally hit on, like, the most perfect system they probably could have come up with. And you know, I'm ecstatic, because when it comes to video game companies and all, I know that they're not, like, you know, squeaky clean, but Nintendo will always be my favorite because of, you know, all the great franchises that they've brought us, from Mario to Zelda to Metroid to Pokemon. I mean, you know, all these exclusives, and the fact that you could still play a lot of these big titles on there and take them with you. It's going to be very hard while everyone else is struggling. Ooh, we got to get better graphics. Ooh, we got to get faster processors and everything. And there's so many games now that are like the Triple H titles that are failing. Fallout 76, Battlefield 5. While all these huge franchises and companies and EA and Bethesda are struggling and failing, and the only one out there right now is Rockstar that seems to be doing pretty well. You know, it's going to be hard for these companies to compete with the Switch, because they've got, while all this madness is going on and the online is broken and they're all releasing these, you know, unfinished messes, all these different video game companies, Nintendo is coming out with finished games that are ready to play, and they're excellent. I mean, when Super Smash Brothers, you know, Ultimate comes out, it's going to be ready to go. It's going to be finished, and it's going to be probably completely playable, and I'm sure there'll be a few bugs here and there, but, you know, which game doesn't have them? I'm just saying that, you know, Nintendo's quality control is a lot better, and it seems like they're flowing along, you know, at a much smoother pace than the rest of these companies are. And, you know, just take my word for it. I think that the Switch is really going to be a major success, and I think a lot of other companies are going to kind of be left in the dust. Not saying that I'm not still the proud owner of an Xbox One, but I'm just saying I think that Nintendo's got them beat. So if you guys agreed or enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you didn't, hit a thumbs down and tell me why. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. Check out some of the content I have posted here. And thank you for watching, guys. Until next time.